A storied venue, a legendary mark, the ultimate test of driver skill. The Pirelli GT3 Cup Trophy USA, presented by Discount Tire, is about to take the green at Circuit of the Americas. Welcome everybody to Circuit of the Americas, where the opening round of the 2015 Pirelli GT3 Cup Trophy USA Series, presented by Discount Tire, is about to set sail for the first of a doubleheader event weekend, 45-minute races for this 20-car field. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Greg Franz, who is basically the president, the founder of Competent Motorsport, and as a result is the president and founder really of the Pirelli GT3 Cup Trophy USA, presented this weekend by Discount Tire. First of all, Greg, welcome. Great to have you here. And as the cars are setting out on their pace and parade laps, tell us a little bit about what's unfolding here. This is basically a GT3 Cup Series, one of Porsche's Cup Series. Two different classes of cars running here. Take us through what separates those divisions.
We've got the 991, which is a 2014-2015 991 Cup car. That is our Diamond class. The other class will be the Platinum class, which is the 2010 to 2013 997s. And at the same time, we have a Masters class for those drivers that are vintage, and we'll have 5 of them competing within this 997 Platinum field.
So we got lots to show you here in 45 minutes of competition. Let's give you a little idea of how things unfolded in qualifying. And a local guy has been absolutely determined to make his mark here this weekend, and that's Will Hardiman, who has really been the gun. Late in that qualifying session, Oscar Arroyo came up in the number 89 car and got within a second of him, and it was a great lap for him. But maybe the story here, to me in many ways, is the car that's qualified third overall, fastest of the Platinum cars, Fred Keimer in the ATX Autosport, qualifying fourth overall, third in the Diamond class, Alessandro Chiocchetti in his number 49. Then you take a look, next up, one of the real veterans in this type of racing, a champion in the IMSA GT3 Cup Series. I mean, the guy's really got some chops. The number 20, Fred Pourdad in the WS Affinity entry. I was frankly a little surprised to see him back in fifth. I think he's just laying back to make a show out of it. And if that was his plan, his opportunity's coming up in just a little bit, folks. We are looking forward to a green flag here. Stay with us. Welcome back to Circuit of the Americas. We are about to go green. Lights out on the pace car. The field right now being led through that turn 19 area. Very, very tricky corner on this track, of course. Single file through there. Then they should start queuing up side by side as we're getting ready for the start of this. Boy, what a great job they are doing as well. And you can see the pace car making its way in, which means it's all under control right now of the pole sitter. And Hardiman setting it up. Everybody's got to stack up behind. It's his decision when to go, and I think he may have just went. We're watching for that green flag to start a 45-minute sprint race here at Circuit of the Americas for the Pirelli GT3 Cup Trophy USA, presented by Discount Tire. Green flag flies Hardiman to the inside, and look at Fred Keimer right there, but popping out is Fred Pourdad. Boy, he wanted to make up a couple of spots there, and I think he may have got one done, Greg.
I'll tell you, they look at that. Coming through.
Fanning it out, a couple of cars running wide, but I think that was a smart move on their part this time, because there was guys inside. If they didn't give them a little room, something was going to happen. But a brilliant start by Hardiman, and Fred Keimer using that inside line to his advantage, slotting up into second place for a Platinum car. That's a great way to start it off.
That gives you a great feeling, too, to be in a Platinum car and you got a Diamond car in front of you and you're going after them.
Well, and it's an interesting study, isn't it? Because the Diamond car is obviously the latest variant, a little bit wider, a little bit more effective aero, slightly more powerful motor and the like. But the Platinum cars, not having maybe as much drag, a little bit narrower, in a straight line, those motors aren't that far off. A Diamond car, they're quick, aren't they?
Yeah, and again, purpose of the series is certainly focusing on the driver, and that makes the difference, because you have that opportunity to go ahead and everybody else in my class, same car, and it's going to come down to who's in the seat.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's one of the nice things. I mean, you can't in this series. We got a nice move from a little bit farther back in the pack. Watching Keimer there as he exit. There's, I believe, Arroyo. and looking to see if I can figure out who that guy was making a move. We'll watch for it. But that's the nice thing. You can't throw thousands of dollars at an engine program, or thousands of dollars or tens of thousands at a wind tunnel program. All you can do, a couple of clicks on that rear wing, a couple of clicks on the shocks, a little bit of a tire pressure adjustment, which means if you go out and beat everybody, it's been you.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's huge.
And I think that's where the real satisfaction comes.
Ooh, bit of a moment here. The number 13, Jason Godfrey. Looks like not only did he spin it, he may have stalled it at this point. And I'm wondering if that's on that cut across.
Looks like.
Because it looks like everybody's being pretty casual out there. And that would smart if you have some sort of an issue, turn into the cut through and get that car off track. Yeah, no indication from the officials about any kind of a caution at this point. So things settling in. There's the number 20 of Fred Pourdad. And nice start. I mean, he ended up just moving up from 5th to 4th. But he was thinking about going underneath Oscar Arroyo at that start. Couldn't quite get that done. But a very, very experienced driver in this class of car.
And this is actually the first year that Fred has moved up to basically the 991 Diamond class with us, and he's picked it up fairly quickly.
Well, you've seen what he's achieved in other series. You knew that was going to happen. I mean, the guy's a fairly quick study to start with, and lots of experience to boot. Had a nice shot there, Mike McAllister in the competition motorsports machine. That's the number 18, a little bit farther back in the order right now, but putting on a good run right now. By the way, we talked about that top 4. 5th is the 84 of Jesse Menser. 6th is Mike Zwieback in the 2. 7th, 23, Mark Nelson, which would put him 2nd in that platinum category. So a great run for Mark in the early going. Mark Yano up to 8th, 3rd in platinum in the 22. 9th, Seth Davidow up to 4th in platinum, 9th overall, 77. And 10th is Alessandro Chiocchetti in the diamond category. That puts him, I believe, 7th in the diamond category. So a good mix right now between both divisions up near the front.
Yeah, we've been real pleased over the years that our drivers are very conscientious about their driving skills, and they always put a good show on. And the one thing you can always be assured of, there's racing going on throughout this field.
Without question. And right now it looks to me like Oscar Arroyo, with that Tourism Mexico sponsorship on that car, might be starting to close it up just a little bit on Fred Keimer. And it's one thing to do a lap in qualifying, string it together a couple of laps, get some speed. Now you got to make the car, got to make these tires, got to make all of that last now, brakes, the whole thing for 45 minutes. Not a big issue normally with a Porsche, but you're still slinging a car around a very challenging track.
Well, like you said, the differential of the fact that they are all the same really comes into play here, and that's where the whole issue of racecraft, the development of that, tire management really makes a difference.
Well, and part of that is the whole concept, the way that Competent Motorsport and you guys have structured this series, is that you said, we're basically a professional series, and if a driver gets here, that doesn't mean your education should stop. You guys have a whole structure in place to ensure that these guys continue to evolve.
What we did in creating this series was to certainly just focus on racecraft and development of that with people that were serious about it. And these are passionate gentlemen drivers and newcomers that like to move forward and become professionals.
And Greg, part of their journey is underway. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Circuit of the Americas. We've got a good battle for third shaping up here, and Pourdad looks to the inside. Boy, that is Texberg into turn 1. Gets to now he's got to make sure he can't get counterpunched on the way out. And Fred Pourdad, boy, is he on the march. He put that car in an absolutely perfect position to not let Keimer have the opportunity to come back after him. But both of them slowed up a little bit, and you can hear the Jaws music playing as Jesse Menser is seeing opportunity right now.
Yeah, I think he's looking to set Fred up here too.
And this is that great sequence of corners, lots of directions, and the first group of S's here is sort of patterned after that great Maggots-Beckett's complex at Silverstone. This next section of track starts to fall back on itself, patterned a little bit after Suzuka, and the S is there. And then you've got this amazing run through that kink and up into this. It's an uphill, hit the apex, drop down again. Here we have a little bit of a jump. We're going to change and go a little bit farther back in the back. There's John Trefethen in that Trefethen Wines car, who is sitting right now in the 13th spot. And that's moved up a couple of spots from where he qualified. So good for him.
Yeah, there's like we said before, there's a lot of racing going on throughout the track. And even though it's a platinum car, diamond car, everybody gets to be able to have a race with somebody.
Well, and that's the neat thing about this is generally you'll find somebody that's running near your pace, and it may be for 8th, not necessarily for the lead, but you get out of the car, the helmet comes up, big grin on your face because you've just involved in a superb race. We're kind of seeing that right now with the number 23 of Mark Nelson we were just following. Just in the back there, right in front of Mark, is Mike Zwiebeck, that's silver number 2, then Mark Nelson, then the 22 of Mark Yano, and these guys are all over each other, and it's behind this lead group, but it's still compelling racing. Oh, look at this here, Keimer now. Finally, he's been able to settle things down a little bit, get back in his rhythm, and is sort of locked onto the back of Fred Portet. Not enough to get by him, but so far he's been able to fend off Jesse Menser in that multicolored car right behind him. Boy, Menser got a great run, didn't he? He's going to go for it here up as he looks to the inside. And you can see right there in that shot, folks, that car that's making the pass. Ooh, big wiggle on the brakes for Menser. But you can see that more aggressive stance on that car. It's wider, it's lower, angrier. And he was able to use that handling. And he was deep on the brakes. That thing was dancing.
That 991's aero package really makes a difference. And it really makes it a very neutral car to drive.
And a driver loves that. And of course, Porsches always have that engine overhanging the rear axle, essentially. So it's a huge bit of mass back there that pendulums around. And the Porsche engineers, they've just, this is such an iconic body style, this, Porsche 911 from, so long. But they've kept tweaking and tweaking and tweaking on the suspension. And it's just amazing, these new 991s, that people say, they are something else to drive.
Well, what's interesting in our series, again, just a moment, is you can take a 996 GT3 Cup car, which is in the year 2000, and still come out and race in one of our classes and be able to go ahead and race on the track and be competitive with a 991 2015 car.
Well, and it's interesting because, one thing about the way Porsche does their 911 and GT3 Cup cars is just because it's a bit older than another, it doesn't mean it's obsolete. I mean, these cars are still wicked quick, and they do that by design. The incremental changes are just that, so that car that is being replaced is still a serious player in the right hands.
That's right. That's right. And it's like you said, you get more than two, and you're going to have a race on your hands.
No question about it. Speaking of racing, and we're seeing a good one here, as we saw Menser get by Keimer. Now he's starting to close in just a little bit on Fred Portet, so this could be pretty interesting here. But I wanted to ask you a little bit. There's really, obviously you're presented by Discount Tire for this event, but you've got two really special companies, Pirelli and Porsche Motorsport North America, that really tie this all together just superbly, don't you?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We, in fact, in the latter part of last year, we've just signed a new contract extension with Pirelli for 5 years, and that's we're so pleased that they are committed to us for 5 more years.
Well, and I mean, those P0s are something else. How hard you can push them, and if you're just a little smart with your management, if you do overheat them a little, back off for a minute, they're right back. You don't see big tail offs like you do with other tire manufacturers. You can race these hard.
Yeah, and if you get as we get towards the end of the race, for some of these drivers that have kind of hung back a little bit but stayed as close as they could, you'll see drivers be able to put a push on like it's just the beginning of the race.
Well, Greg, sometimes like business, management is the key to success. A lot more to come. Stay with us. Welcome back to Circuit of the Americas, and folks, we are watching great battles throughout the track, and frankly, not all of them are in the top 10. We're watching a battle here now. Yeah. We're looking back. This is 12th, 13th, 14th. There's Mr. Trefethen, and he in that car right in front of him, the number 3 of Steve Goldman, the Revita Ruggs car, having a great scrap. I think that might be the 08 of John Scarlett right behind them. I mean, this is what we were talking about. We're not in the top 10, but boy, are we in a heck of a scrap. Boy, speaking of knowing what they're doing, how about this race that Will Hardiman has put on? We haven't seen him for a while just because he has checked out. His margin now over second place Oscar Arroyo, exactly 12 seconds last time by. He just gapped Arroyo by another 1.2 seconds.
This is the first time Will's had the opportunity to run with us, and I think he wants to make a statement here to his fans and certainly to himself.
I'll tell you what, though, that margin between these two, Arroyo and Fred Pourdad, coming down. Pourdad just uncorked his best lap of the race at 2:15.1 and took 3/10 off of Oscar Arroyo in that lap alone. So this battle for second is really starting to heat up a little bit. And it's about 4 seconds to Jesse Menser back and forth. But he's doesn't have a lot of room back to our platinum category leader, the 0 of Fred Keimer. He had that great qualifying run to third, and he sort of settled into fifth at this stage.
And you know, as we talked about earlier, you know, you might have that. You put one good lap together, but it takes maybe 18 or 19 in this race to make it happen.
Yeah, and you better string them together. That guy behind you who's doing the job's coming after. Ooh, right there, boy, Oscar. He really turned in early. That was a real early apex into that turn, and you saw what that could do to you. He just pushed wide there, and that was it. Pourdad was all over the backup at that point. And one, that's frustrating. Two, that'll really overheat those fronts. You keep doing that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when they get around on that straightaway. He might just be trying to set him up here.
Well, that's one of the things that, you know, in driving schools, and I'm sure Craig Stanton will look at that and say, hey, Oscar, when the guy's in the mirror, you can't make the evil early apex move, because that's the old fast in, slow out move. Drive your line, you know, maybe feint a little bit that way, but don't commit like that, so you get something to have on the exit of the turn.
Yes, and I think that's, again, every one of these races, really, Greg, is an education for our drivers.
Yeah.
And because they're getting feedback, they'll certainly be getting a debriefing with Craig later. Yeah.
Boy, and Oscar read that beautifully. When Fred made the move, Oscar did the over-under to perfection. I think if he'd been a little bit more aggressive, he may have saved that, but I think Oscar is also, you know, thinking, well, I don't want to, you know, clock this guy and everything, and let him slide through. But that gets back to that respect that we were talking about, which is something else I wanted to, you know, talk to you about, because you said one of the real important things as far as your organization and how you conduct this is you want it to be fun. You want these guys to be friends, because it does limit the contact on the track.
Yeah, and that whole sociability piece is important, because it really will direct you when you're on the track in a race.
Here we go again. Fred very defensive into turn 11. And Oscar this time, now let's see if he can get it without having that. There you go. Nice, easy, smooth. Yeah, look at that run he got coming out. He is right there. Boy, this would be the opportunity. Use that draft a little bit. See if he can get it done. And here he comes. Got that toe. Looks to the inside. Is he going to? He is.
Oh.
He's going for it. All right, but don't overshoot it. Beautiful job. Exits right where he wanted to be. That was great, because Arroyo knew if he ran way wide over there, Pourdad was just going to come right back underneath him, and Arroyo really put that car in a perfect spot. Still carried a little bit of exit speed, but didn't leave any opening for Pourdad. Pourdad got a dose of what he delivered a bit earlier. Great stuff here at Circuit of the Americas. Welcome back. Closing stages of this race here at Circuit of the Americas. The battle for second is a good one. Fred Pourdad running out of time. He needs to make it happen soon. And Fred's not waiting, is he? Big dive bomb move. Ooh! Did they just tank? I think they got away. I don't think they did. Boy, I thought for a minute that there might be just a little bit. It wasn't. If they did kiss, it wasn't very passionate. Maybe just a peck.
But you know, again, they're both looking and understanding their own limits and their automobile's limits.
Well, and it's interesting too that Oscar is just not biting any time, because I think what Fred wants, he really wants Oscar to come over, then he'll swing out, do the diamond, and get the run. And Oscar's just saying, no, you know, if you can get underneath me, it's yours. I'm giving it to you. And but every time Fred does that big aggressive move to the inside, he knows he's got to overslow compared to Arroyo, where he's just either going to hit him or go straight into off the track on the outside. This might be an opportunity for Pourdad, though, if coming out of that turn Oscar got hung up at all. Now Oscar's going to try and use a little bit of a toe. There you see the difference in the Platinum and the Diamond cars, just that aggressive look to it. And boy, I'll tell you what, that draft helped Oscar big time, didn't it?
Look at that.
Ooh, and look at this. Boy, Zwiebeck really close to Menser in the background.
I think Portad's getting passed through too.
Yeah,
there you go.
He was able to sneak through. So boy, that if Portad had been held up there, that could have really been the gift for Arroyo. But he was very, very good. Portad wasn't making sure that he was not going to get hung up in any way, shape, or form. There, that was the number 12 of Ranson Webster, one of our Masters drivers, who did a nice job leaving enough of a gap there for Fred. And Fred didn't lose a lot of ground, but he lost a little bit of momentum in his work coming up on the end of this one. He needs to make up some ground. And these guys right now, well and truly, are just simply racing for second place right now. No sign of Hardiman. I think he's run in, had a little bit of barbecue in Austin. Oh, look at this! What a move! And I think Oscar was, they didn't touch, but I think Oscar was looking in his mirrors, locked the rears up, and around he went. But boy, Portad just came out of nowhere. And I think that just really surprised Oscar. Hopefully we'll see if we can get another look at that. There was no contact, but boy, Fred just surprised him from nowhere. And I think that literally, here it is. Yeah, he came down. Oscar was defending. He got in, and right here, Oscar just too much speed, locked the rears.
And that then allowed both Menser and Zweiback to come through.
They sure did. Yep, he could not get turned around enough. So this is changing the dynamic here completely. Yeah, you're right. There is Zweiback all over the back of Menser, but that now indeed promotes them to third and fourth. And Oscar behind Keimer sitting in the sixth spot. So that puts Keimer, the lead Platinum car, up into the top 5 at this stage. Boy, that was an absolutely great scrap that we were watching. Now look at this. This one's not done. As Zweiback starting to hound Jesse Menser in the 84 with that same level of pressure. Now we were seeing Portad heaping on there as well. So even though Portad able to sneak through, this great battle for third unfolding, there's Fred obviously now able to draw away, and these two guys really having a good scrap unfolding right behind him, Menser. But Zweiback in that Discount Tire Porsche is really putting the pressure, and he's closed it up even more. Watch him swing here, trying to line something up, couldn't quite make it work. There's the checker, and that first car you just saw, Will Hardiman, what a day. That's the 43 of Albert Scalo right there, Salvo, excuse me, and he's actually down a lap, but as he picks up the checker as well. But boy, Will Hardiman putting on just a little bit of a clinic, then Fred Portad, and then Menser and Zweiback, and they're still in that scrap. Here comes Fred Portad. Boy, what an eventful race he's had here in that beautiful black Porsche. 1 corner to go, up onto the front straight and coming toward that checkered flag as well. What a day he's put on here. Remember, yeah, he started and had to work his way up. Yeah, he's celebrating just a little bit, doing the old bob and weave. Well done by Fred Portad. Absolutely superb run. So let's take a look at the results. Hardiman with that great win. Portad up through the pack. Menser hanging on in front of Zweiback, Keimer, and then, of course, Oscar Arroyo in the play so much for potential top 3 until he had that spin. And here's top 10, and here's a look at the rest of the field when we come back. Round 2 of the Pirelli GT3 Cup Trophy USA. This portion of the Pirelli GT3 Cup Trophy USA is presented by Discount Tire, recognized as the world's largest independent tire and wheel retailer today in the industry.